you ain't got no money. Y'all putting groceries on credit cards? It's over, bro. I'm sorry to break it to you. You might as well call the therapist now. Unfortunately, he got caught up in a cult. He's lost in the sauce. Hello, little enzymes. Welcome back to Dacia's Digest. The topic of today's video is going to be denial is a river in Egypt. Also, my apologies because I know we went a few days there with no videos. It's really my fault because I had a busy weekend and I did not plan ahead and like batch videos ahead of time so that they would be ready. So that's all me. Also, I just got my nose pierced yesterday, a little double piercing. You can probably barely see it from here. Let me get close to the camera. Anyways, yeah, so let's go ahead and get into the video. We have 4 stories. Here we go. My husband spent $10,000 on Pokemon slabs without telling me, forgot my birthday, and we are struggling financially. Am I overreacting for wanting a divorce? Sheesh. I just found out that my husband spent $10,000 on Pokemon slabs that he said were for Christmas and my birthday. I'm physically shaking. I had no idea he was spending that much. First of all, what is a Pokemon slab? Let me Google. What is a I'm assuming it's like maybe an outfit or something. Pokemon slab refers to a plastic case that a graded Pokemon card is encased in. Essentially a protective sleeve that holds the card and displays its condition grade assigned by a professional card grading company. Are you kidding me? It's a cover, a plastic cover? He spent $10,000? What? Nah. Let me look up the average price. Pokemon slab price. Let me see. So maybe it's not, maybe is the, whoever knows these things, is the slab referring to the actual card plus the case? Or is it only I'm assuming it has to be the card plus the case that it's in with the grading on it. There's no way you're spending $10,000 on a plastic sleeve, because I'm just looking on this random website and I see like it has the card in it with all the information. This is like $672 for one, which like, again, how do you spend $10,000? How many did you buy? Anyway, back to the story. They said, I assumed maybe $500 to $1,000 at the most. When I checked our bank account and credit reports, I was shocked. 11 years together. I called him and he admitted to spending $10,000. The worst part is that these were not even cards I wanted or collections I am into. It was a nice thought, but I was not thrilled by them. To top it off, he completely forgot my birthday on the actual day. He did not say anything until halfway through the day, did not get me a card, flowers, coffee, or anything at all. Even when I suggested we celebrate over the weekend, he made no effort. Yikes. Not even a card? Nothing at all? Not even a cup of coffee? Like nothing? They said financially we are struggling. Our mortgage is $10,000 this month because of property taxes and home insurance. Whoa. Our house is on the market, but it is not selling because of the high price tag. It's already marked at the lowest we can go with no profit. We had just paid off all of his credit cards in December, bringing them down to 9% utilization so we could focus on paying off mine. My credit card debt is from necessary home repairs, like replacing an electrical panel to prevent a fire, and I had been putting groceries on there to protect our cash for mortgage payments and not random purchases. At this point, I blocked his number and told him I want a divorce. He has always had a problem with saving money, and I feel completely disrespected and steamrolled, especially given our financial situation. Am I overreacting? I just need advice or a gut check because I feel like I have reached my breaking point. I don't think this person is overreacting. I wonder, I just wonder if there were any signs before they, got together. If you notice that somebody does not have good money habits, like in the dating phase, that's not going to be a good match because they're most likely not going to change unless they get some kind of like financial counseling or something and it actually sticks, like you can actually see some improvement. This is tough. You spending $10,000 on Pokemon cards and I get everybody has their hobbies, but you ain't got no money. You don't have the money to be doing this. Y'all putting groceries on credit cards, and I would not be surprised if they actually bought the Pokemon cards for themselves. Don't sound like the Pokemon cards were really for OP. It sounded like it was for them, and they want to make it seem like it was for OP so they wouldn't feel bad about the purchase. Some comments, someone said, I wouldn't call this an overreaction. That was an incredibly selfish, incredibly idiotic thing for him to do. Another person said, OP guy here, get the F out. Your husband is a financial Titanic. Immediately, privately confer with a seasoned family law attorney to discuss your entitlements and alternatives regarding divorce. Document his financial misconduct. Seek that amount from his share of the marital assets. Another person said, sell the cards, stop waffling, sell all or any cards. Collectibles are for those who can afford it. You two are not ready. Yeah, that's a good idea. Just sell the cards. Get that money back. Update 2 days later, they said, I want to start by apologizing to the community for deleting my original post. I'm sorry my edits and updates didn't save under the moderator's post. Seeing people claim it was fake was too much to bear at the time because this situation is very real to me. There was a lot of victim blaming and that felt unfair. Please remember to be kind to those who post vulnerable experiences while seeking help during dark times. What is a Pokemon slab? See the photo above. A Pokemon slab refers to a plastic case, often called a slab in the collecting world, that encapsulates a graded Pokemon card, protecting it from damage while also displaying its condition and value, typically provided by a third-party card grading company. Essentially, it's a permanently sealed container that holds a professionally assessed Pokemon card like an engagement ring appraisal. Now for the update. I am safe. I have contacted a lawyer. No matter what happens, I will continue protecting myself and making better decisions going forward. I also took screenshots and went through his phone completely. While we have no children together, we do have a decade and a lot of love for one another. He was surprisingly open to giving up control and acknowledged his addiction. He admitted he always knew it was something, but as each new hobby came along, they became more and more expensive. He was not angry when I confronted him, but he did break down in tears. We talked, and while I wanted to keep identifying details private, I can say that he is getting help, and I now have full financial control. He attended a meeting for Shoppers Anonymous, and we believe he has compulsive spending disorder. Thanks to this community, I realized how serious collector addiction can be. I would not have gone to a lawyer or even known where to start if it weren't for the advice I received here. Reddit is honest and they know what's up. That's why I came here for help. Addiction is a long, difficult journey, and I will hold myself accountable to ensure I don't ignore red flags. Where we stand now. 1, he has agreed to all of my terms. 2, I have full financial control. 3, we will sell the cards. 4, he is working to sell other items from past hobbies. 5, we will have weekly financial meetings. 6, he will go to individual therapy and meetings. We will go back to marriage counseling. 7, after reviewing the finances, it was actually $7,000 spent on cards, not $10,000. The other $3,000 were smaller charges like work lunches and Starbucks. That still adds up. We are working on selling the cards. Other important changes. 1, he has promised to be a better husband and stop acting like a child. He recognizes his behavior. 2, he has also acknowledged that his selfishness has affected other areas of our life, like in our support system, and he is working to change that. 3, we both understand that this is a lifelong addiction that will require daily effort. We have to make that choice individually of how we want to proceed. I know it's easy to say, just leave him, but marriage is not that simple. Sometimes one partner is at 10% while the other is at 90%. Right now, he is at 10%. 2 years ago, I was the one at 10% and he stuck by me. He gave me the chance to change and I did. Now it is my turn to offer him the same opportunity. I will not give him a second chance beyond this, but I believe everyone deserves at least one. I'm not sure if I will post another update, but if you're struggling, know that this community tells it like it is, but it also offers great support and resources. I wish the best for anyone going through hard times. Please remember to be kind to each other. Well, shoot, that's a good update, man. And I'm glad he's getting some help, and I hope that it sticks. Like OP said, addiction is a lifelong thing. Once they've been in it 10, 11 years. They've been married. You can't just leave like that but at least they're trying. They're trying. Yeah, this is what I figured a slab was. They added a picture of it here. And just a couple comments. Someone said, I hope it works out and he gets the help he needs. Someone else said, I didn't see the original post, but appreciate the update. As you said, marriage is a partnership where you see each other through ups and downs, and not everything is a leave him situation. It's good he acknowledged his problem. Honestly, the saddest part of your update is that $3,000 of the amount spent was on dumb things like Starbucks. At least with the slabs, you can sell them and hopefully recoup a good portion of your losses. It's a lesson to all of us in how the little things really add up. Good luck, OP. That is true. The little things do indeed add up. Listen, if you get in Starbucks every day, first of all, aren't they on the blacklist still? I mean, that's your prerogative. I don't drink Starbucks. I don't solicit Starbucks. But even if I did like them, I wouldn't be, soliciting Starbucks every single day. I have a Keurig at home that works perfectly fine. I go to Costco and stock up on my little K-cups and save a lot of money. Starbucks is expensive and it's fattening. There's so many calories in each little, because you're not just going to Starbucks to get a cup of coffee with, like a simple drink. If you're going to Starbucks, you're getting a latte, a frappuccino, something like that. There's so much calories and sugar in that stuff. And to be drinking that every single day, it's not really good for you. Not good for your body or your wallets. But let's go to the next story. My 25 female husband, 27 male, suddenly wants too much smex. So my husband and I met in college when I was 18 and he was 20. We got engaged after about a year and a half. I know, early, LMAO. And since I was waiting for marriage, we had intimacy for the first time then, and we were both virgins. Despite all the bad stories people told me about waiting, it was actually great after some practice. We officially got married after graduation, so we've been together for about 8 years, married for 4, and our intimate life has always been good pretty much every night. But for the past 2 weeks, he suddenly wants it all the time, like 3 times a day. And don't get me wrong, I love to be intimate with him, and I have a good appetite for it, but I do not have that kind of stamina or time. Last night, he got upset when I said I wanted to sleep, and mind you guys, we were already intimate 2 times earlier. Bro is loading up on the 2-piece spices, okay? He said, I can't get enough of the 2-piece spices. She said, when I jokingly asked what's with the libido increase, he just made some joke back and said it's the usual. This is really out of character for him. That's why I'm surprised. He has never been an extremely sexual person like most men I know to be. Do you guys know why this might be happening? I have no idea. I have nothing. I have no comments. I really don't know what's going on here. Some notable comments. Someone said people's libido can fluctuate a lot throughout life. I wouldn't worry too much about that. But what's important here is that people's libido also frequently do not line up. This is normal and happens to any relationship long term. It takes respect and good communication from both sides to learn to navigate that. Him getting upset over you wanting to sleep after you already did the deed twice that day feels manipulative and super demanding, not healthy, at all. You would expect that your no would turn him off, because who would want to have intimacy with someone who's not in the mood? I think it would be a good idea to discuss this at a different and neutral, calm moment. Approach it from a curiosity, non-judgmental point of view, but also keep in mind that you are fully valid in protecting your boundaries, and it should be emotionally safe to say no at any time, period. Also, if you don't feel like it for days or weeks, period. Someone quoted her post when she said, "Our intimate life has always been good pretty much every night." And then they also quoted when she said, "He has never been an extremely sexual person." And they responded and said, "What? I thought you were describing two people with high libido." OP responded, "I meant that he has never prioritized intimacy in our relationship like most men do. I didn't date many men before him, but I can confidently say most men wouldn't and don't wait for marriage or engagement to be intimate." Another comment said, "Drive is determined by hormones, and the hormone levels can fluctuate and be influenced by some changes in his body or changes in a lifestyle. Even as seemingly little as regular and intense workouts can make you super hungry." And another person, "Sounds like you just need to sit down and talk about it." So one day later, there was an update. Some of you commented and most DM'd saying it could be something shady like cheating, guilt, etc. I really didn't think that was the case, but my overthinking got the best of me, so last night I went through his phone. I know, not nice of me, but I was just so curious, and he doesn't even have a password. I wasn't even expecting anything crazy, maybe just a ton of spicy videos or something. I found nothing weird though. While I was doing this, he woke up, looked at me all sleepy, and said, "Is that my phone?" I panicked and just said, "Yeah." He literally just mumbled, "Oh," rolled over and went back to sleep. In the morning, he didn't say anything about it, so I was like, aren't you gonna say something about the fact that I went through your phone last night?" And he didn't even understand what I was saying. I reminded him and he laughed. He genuinely thought I was just watching a movie or show. I sometimes use his phone for that if mine is charging, so he didn't even notice I was snooping. At this point, I just told him everything. How I got paranoid, why I checked, how I was worried something was wrong. He got quiet for a second, then kind of shyly admitted that he thought I was enjoying all the extra intimacy, so he just kept initiating more. But the real reason, he said he sometimes feels disconnected from me. He's very introverted, doesn't talk to many people, keeps his circle small. Meanwhile, my entire job is social. I work in PR, and I spend a lot of time with my coworkers. He admitted that sometimes he feels like I have this whole world outside of our relationship, and since he's not super talkative, he worries he doesn't always connect with me the way I do with others. Intimacy, for him, is one of the most intimate things we share, so in his mind, having more of it made him feel closer to me. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I see the logic he was getting at there. She said, "I almost cried when he said this because I never thought of it that way. I reassured him that just because I talk to 1,000,000 people a day doesn't mean I don't prioritize him. And we both agreed to make more of an effort to connect outside of just two-piece spices. More quality time, deeper conversations, little gestures. I also promised to communicate better if something is overwhelming me instead of silently suffering and then having a breakdown about it. LOL. Basically, I love him so much." Yeah. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. The comment here says, "Excuse me, miss, this is Reddit. We did not come here for an adult and sensible discussion between two rational people." No, for real. No, for real. But that's good. I'm glad they worked it out. And I can definitely get his logic. And I do think that a lot of men think that way sometimes. So that was a good ending. I think this one might be a good ending too. I can't remember, but we'll see. The title is "I Miss My Husband So God Dang Much." I, 35 male, divorced my husband, 36 male, 3 years ago, and goodness, I miss him. I asked for a divorce for a few reasons, most of which being that his depression got exponentially worse day after day, and he refused to seek treatment. Sometimes he wouldn't even go into work and ended up getting fired from his job. I stayed with him for so freaking long, praying that one day he would start trying to get better. It was all I ever wanted, but that day did not come. I sobbed the entire time signing those papers, and when I handed them to him and asked for a divorce, he just gave me the emptiest, deadest look and signed them without a word. My heart felt like it had been shattered with a hammer. Anger and sadness and fear tied together in the world's tightest, ugliest knot and inset deep into my chest. I put on a brave face for my friends, tried to frame it as shackles coming off and a new beginning, but it was a lie. It just hurt, and it keeps hurting, and it will never stop hurting. He was my soulmate. I'll never love anyone like I loved him. He used to be so sweet and loving, so passionate and happy, and every other wonderful thing a man could want from another. They say each day gets easier, but it isn't for me. It's been 3 years and I'm still reaching over to the other side of the bed in the morning to pull him close, and it always stings when my hand touches fabric and not his skin. It's been 3 years and I'm still expecting to see his car in the driveway when I get home from work. It's been 3 years and my heart isn't any less broken than the day he left. Why does this sound like a song or something? It's been 3 years. The way he wrote it, it just sounds like so poetic. He said, I've been stalking his socials, I'll admit. He's been getting back to the gym, starting meds, and I see him smiling so genuinely in these photos. He looks so incredible. Maybe if I had just waited, he would have changed his mind and went to a doctor like he is now. Or was it me that held him down? Was I making it worse? I hope not. I want to go over to his place and just fall into his arms and beg him to take me back. Maybe he's wishing the same thing about me. If there's even a chance I could have my boy back, I feel like I should try. I'll never know otherwise. Edit. 1, I am a homosexual man. My husband is a homosexual man. I am not a woman. Yes, I know I'm effeminate and kind of emotional. Get creative. 2, my husband was a binge drinker. He refused treatment no matter how much I begged. We got antidepressants, but he wouldn't take them. I know he's started meds now because he's posted about them and his 2 years sober chip that he got last month. Yeah, that's a hard situation when you're trying to help somebody through addiction or like depression or whatever, but they just like refuse to help themselves. It does feel a little bit impossible. So I don't really blame OP for leaving, even though he didn't really want to leave. Like, I get it. He said, 3, I never stopped loving him. I never loved him any less. Near the end of our marriage, I started drinking to cope. The second I realized I realized he was dragging me down with him and I couldn't help him anymore. I didn't dip the second it got hard. Many of you are being kind of rude. I'll accept that I wasn't the perfect husband. Nobody is. But claims that I never loved him are just wrong and make me feel sick to my stomach. Edit. 2, no, I am not the catalyst for this. His depression started when his younger brother passed away unexpectedly. It's not because he just hated me so much. We were childhood sweethearts and had been together for years when this happened. So some of the comments, someone said, sometimes people just cannot progress until they hit rock bottom, and maybe you leaving was that for him. It doesn't necessarily mean you held him down. He just couldn't find the desire and motivation to progress while you were holding him. Don't beat yourself up. It wasn't your fault he was sick and didn't want to ask for help. In the end, we all need to want that help. Without it, all other people's efforts are worthless. In the end, if you ended amicably, you can always hit him up and ask him how he feels. Maybe he'll ignore you, maybe not, but you'll know you've tried. And stop stalking him. That is keeping you from healing. I love a good social media stalk. Not gonna lie. Not real stalking though. Like, yeah, that's crazy. There's a fine line. OP responded, thank you. I needed to hear a lot of this. Maybe I'll call him just to see how he's doing. He doesn't hate me. I know that much. I'd like to see him regardless. Another person said, if you do this, just be honest with yourself about your motives. Someone else said, the shock of divorce probably forced him to change. Chances are, if you still stayed together, he would be the same. That might be true. That might be true. Update 3 days later, he said, well, with Reddit's advice, I did it. A few days ago, I called my 35 male ex-husband, 36 male, whom I divorced after 6 years when he refused to seek treatment for his depression. I called him later in the evening. It was the first time we'd spoken since a bit of trouble he'd had while he was still drinking 2.5 years ago. He picked up on the second ring. Our conversation was a little stilted at first, as to be expected, but he said he was really glad to hear from me. We ended up meeting for coffee yesterday, as so many of you suggested. I'll admit it was kind of hard to see him, but in a good way. He looked so much better than the last time I had seen him, but he looked exactly like the man I married. He had put off a ton of weight. He gained like 75-ish pounds during his struggle with depression, and before some a-hole says so, I didn't leave him because of his weight gain. He looked way healthier and very put together. I'll just say it. He looked incredibly hot. Hot as an adjective is hilarious to me. I don't know why. Do people actually use like that in real life? No, they do, because one of my homeboys just recently said a girl hit him up and was like, oh my God, you're so hot. I was like, what? Hot? That's funny. Anyway, Opie said, what made it hard was that I couldn't kiss him hello like I used to. But goodness, the way his eyes lit up when he saw me, I barely needed to. We got our coffee and sat, and he updated me a little on his life in the last 3 years. What really turned his life around was, in part, the divorce, but more so a DUI. Nobody was hurt. He was caught a few blocks from his apartment. He's since gone to rehab and Al-Anon, gotten his license back, and had to use a breathalyzer whenever he started his car for a while. He hasn't had a drop of alcohol since, and I told him I was so freaking proud of him. He's also started antidepressants and made a point of telling me that they're not SSRIs, but when I asked what that meant, he got embarrassed and told me, never mind. I don't get that part. Somebody explain if they understand what he meant by that. He said, bottom line is that they've been helping him. He's back to being a gym rat, and he's almost completely turned his life around. This was around the point that I started tearing up. It just felt so good knowing he was okay. Better than okay, he was good. I also apologized to him for not sticking by him. He cut me off and said I had nothing to apologize for. He was a wreck, and I was being dragged down with him. That also felt good to hear. I apologized for not contacting him much during the last 3 years. That apology he accepted. He was dating someone for a few months, too. He broke up with him once he tried to get him to drink on New Year's. He seemed dismissive of the guy. Guess it wasn't too serious. Dang, that's messed up. Somebody know you in rehab, you were like, sober, and then they try to get you to drink. Yeah, I just don't understand when people do stuff like that. Anyway, OP continues, we got up and went on a walk after a few hours, and I think we both realized it felt like a first date. I had to stop myself from trying to hold his hand at a few points, I'll admit. We ended up sitting on a bench in a nearby park, and I confessed. I told him I missed him. Oh, this is so cute. Oh my God. Oh my God. I love. I'm such a lover girl. This is too cute. No problematics. Well, the next one is, I think, a little problematic, but this one is so cute. He said, I told him I missed him more than anything, how I've never stopped loving him, and how if he wanted to, I'd love to try again from the beginning this time. We'd go to couples therapy, keep our heads above water, and take it slow. He was quiet for a minute before he told me something. He said he was doing better now, but there may be a time where he would sink low again. Depression isn't easily cured, and he was far from cured. He still had bad days, but he said there would be one difference. He promised he would never stop trying to improve. He was never going to give up like he did before, and refused to neglect me like he used to. If I was willing to accept that truth, he was willing to try again. I agreed, and he pulled me into an embrace and snuck a kiss to my temple. You know, when it's the first warm day of spring after a cold, harsh winter and the soft breeze and basking sun hit your skin at the same time? It felt something like that to the thousandth degree. After a while, he walked me back to my car and squeezed my hand goodbye. And the second I got inside, I started sobbing like a baby. Happy tears, though. I'm currently sitting in bed, kicking my feet like a teenage girl, texting him back and forth to schedule an actual date. He said he'd plan everything and try his best to make up for the birthdays and anniversaries he missed. He said it would knock my socks off. What a dork. I love being in love. I do too, OP. I do too. He said, not gonna lie, this is gonna be a bit hard to explain to my friends and family. Not looking forward to those conversations, but right now I don't care. My man loves me. Thank you to everyone who had kind words to say and all the people that messaged me with sympathy and advice. I hope we all find happiness and love if we want it. I never would have made the leap if y'all hadn't encouraged me. Best of luck to all of you, and sorry for the overly flowery language. That is so cute. Not me with a little tear creeping up over here on the side. What? A comment said, I knew a woman who divorced her husband for the same reasons. They'd had 3 kids, one who was mentally ill. Married for 25 years, she was tired of covering up for him, dealing with his crap. He was losing clients, etc., so she kicked him to the curb. 3 years later, he'd gotten sober and counseling. They remarried. She loved the person, not the drunk. Another person said, could the SSRI thing be a referral to how side effects are sometimes sexual performance related with antidepressants? I'd imagine it makes a man embarrassed, LOL. But this is so cute, I started getting so happy for you. Opie responded, oh my goodness, that is what he meant, isn't it? He said, I put the spicy in 2-piece spicy, okay? That antidepressant medication ain't stopping the show, period. Somebody else said, this reply made me laugh so loud. Your update made me smile so much. All the best to you both. All right. Well, that was so cute. Let me see if there's anything else. That update was like a week ago. Oh, wait. Oh, I think there's an update from their date. Wait, let me see. If you guys are interested, on his page, there's an update on like how the date went. Basically just detailing how it went. And it is pretty cute. So now we're switching gears. We're going from nice, the past 2 stories have been nice and wholesome. This one is not. It says, my 28 male husband, 27 male, just came out as straight. So we've been married for like 3 years and dated for about 2. In total, 5 years of a gay relationship. We're 2 men, have always been 2 men, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. My husband and I have had a rather healthy relationship for the most part. Of course, we have minor arguments every now and then, but what relationship is perfect? In the end, we always resolved them and our affection would continue as normal. Let me adjust because my back is hurting sitting like this. He said, this is kind of why I'm really confused by what's going on with us. Why now? I'm a Christian. I know a lot of people don't like the idea of that, but gay Christians do exist. My husband was agnostic. Not necessarily an atheist, just wasn't completely on board with any religion. And that's fine. I would have supported him if he found peace in literally anything. He didn't need to become a Christian, and honestly, as selfish as it sounds, I wish he didn't. I know this makes me sound like a terrible person, but he changed so drastically afterwards, and I miss the man he used to be. It was a slow start. He asked me about verses from the Bible. He went to church. He even fasted for Lent. Christmas this year was much more than just presents, and I was happy that I had this piece of me to share with him now. I was raised religious and struggled with my identity. If it weren't for other queer Christians, I would have left Christianity. I was glad that I still had these things we could bond over, but it kept ramping up. All of a sudden, he's going to church more than I am, which is perfectly fine. He's always carrying a Bible with him and will randomly cite a verse when we're having political discussions. Yikes. When you start citing verses. Ooh. He said, I've noticed his views have started to shift towards the right as well, and recently retweeted someone saying, "Your body, my choice." That's crazy. That's crazy. He said, "You're gay. Women's reproductive rights don't concern you in the slightest." It kept ramping up. He started agreeing with the whole LGB minus the T crowd and started spewing harmful rhetoric about drag queens as if we aren't friends with a bunch of them. When I told him that drag queens are much less likely to harm children than some pastors, he lost his crap, saying I was a heathen and that his friends were right. This is the part that caught my attention. What friends? Bro is in the sunken place. He off the deep end. He's become an extremist, definitely. OP continues, I asked him what he meant by that, and he started backtracking, saying he was tired and that we should go to bed. I was tired, and arguing didn't seem like it would do us any good right now, so I put a pin in it and we got ready for bed. Our bathroom has a bathroom connected, and usually we keep the door open. He takes a shower and makes sure to lock it, which was weird, but I didn't say anything about it. If he wants to set this boundary down, that's fine, but he could at least communicate it, you know? The next day is a Sunday and he's already out of bed and I'm assuming at church. I get up and got ready, but once I arrived, I realized he wasn't there. That confused me. So after the service, I called him asking him where he was. He tells me he's in church, but I told him I was here too and didn't see him. He clarifies he meant this other church. I'm not going to say the denomination because I don't want to cause any arguments. This was news to me, especially because he never brought it up and still carried our Bible. I told him to send me the address and I'll pick him up so we can get brunch, but he tells me that he doesn't want his friends seeing me. Yikes! Yikes! Opie said that hurt. I asked him if we could at least meet up and he said he'll see me at home. After a few hours, he finally, let me just pause here to clarify, because I identify as a Christian, but I've said it once and I'll say it again. I never think you should push your beliefs onto someone else. I know that Christians have this idea of evangelizing. I think that's great. You want more people to know about the Lord and Jesus and whatever, that's great. But there's a way to do that without being like this. You're retweeting things that say, your body, my choice? Do you really think Jesus would be okay with that? He literally gave everyone free will, if that's what you believe, like, you know, but specifically to their situation, what they believe, he literally gave us all free will to choose. Like, so how does that add up? Not to mention, your body, my choice. You sound like you need to be locked up. You sound like you need to be under the jail. You don't sound like you should be out in society with the rest of us. I'll just say that. But it sounds to me like he got involved in some sort of cult, some sort of extreme sect of Christianity that is just, I feel like deep down these people like really hate themselves. And so they have to project it onto others to make themselves feel better about what they are and are not doing and how they do and do not feel. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like it just cannot compute in my brain. Like, why are you like this? Why are you so worried about what other people are doing? It's guilt. It has to be. Anyway, OP continues, after a few hours, he finally comes home. He says, we need to talk. I agreed. I wanted to ask him why he didn't want his friends seeing me. And as I opened my mouth to ask the question, he said, I'm straight. I stared at him for a bit and he continued explaining that his church helped him realize he wasn't going to see the kingdom of God if he continued living in sin and that he needed to leave me as soon as possible. He told them about the pastor comment I made last night and they said that I was a devil trying to lure him away from Christ. He started repeating a lot of the same rhetoric I heard from other Christians growing up and it really upset me. He even said that I could be saved and that I already had the traditionally masculine look and that I just needed to steer away from homosexuality. Now, I have no issue with him wanting to leave the relationship because of what he believes. Like if that's what he wants to do, that's fine because you don't have to stay somewhere. In the same way that he can't force ideas onto others, he also doesn't have to stay if he doesn't agree. So that part is fine to me. But what does him see? This is how I know. This is how I know he had a red pill church. What does OP looking traditionally masculine have to do with him becoming straight? So do you mean to imply that if OP didn't look traditionally masculine, it would be okay for him to continue to be gay? Like, please clarify, because it's not making sense. Anyway, OP continues, I feel like I'm in an alternate reality right now. I'm being told by the love of my life that I'm a devil that needs to return to Christ because I shut down his homophobic rhetoric. My gay husband is being homophobic. I'm sorry, but not once in the 5 years we've been together did he realize he was suddenly straight. I told him that he needed to leave and that we would discuss arrangements afterwards. I still want him. I love him, but I have no idea how he could look at me with a straight face and tell me all of that. He started arguing, saying that he didn't want to leave and that we could be friends. Bro, come on, pick a side. Opie said, so I told him that I wouldn't be friends with a self-hating queer for the life of me. He packed a bag and left. His location shows he's at some random house I've never been to, but I assume that's one of the churchgoers he's friends with. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do from here. Did I seriously just lose my husband? I don't understand how this could happen. What can I do now? I miss him already. It's over, bro. I'm sorry to break it to you. It's over. You might as well call the therapist now. Like, unfortunately, he's in too deep. I don't think there's anything really that you can do in this situation. Unfortunately, like this is an irreconcilable difference. And the fact that he wants you to turn straight, quote unquote, turn straight, but then continue to be friends, he sounds confused. He don't even sound sure of what he even talking about. I have a feeling that he's going to regret this decision once he wakes up and has clarity of thought. Unfortunately, he got caught up in a cult, it sounds like. It is what it is. You can't help him. He's lost in the sauce. Yeah. Somebody said, dude, the best thing you can do is let him go. This is a really tough situation, but it's past your control. Do yourself a favor and let him leave. He's not worth it. You deserve somebody who loves you for you. Agreed. Someone responded and said, agreed, the worst thing OP can do is try to force it. There's no changing someone's mind on these things. And another person responded, yeah, it sounds like he's in a cult now. Yes, definitely. Someone said, run, he's doing conversion therapy and you do not want to be on that journey with him. Another person responded, I feel sorry for the woman he gets with next. She'll be with a man who is gay and who will always be gay. Someone else, I feel so sad for you. He is not straight, I assure you, but he is in crisis and being very deluded. But I don't know that there's anything that you can do about it, except take care of yourself. Maybe there are some friends from your church community that can reach out to him and give him a better perspective. Someone responded, I'd go so far as to say that he's in religious psychosis, especially as he told OP that he believes him to be a devil leading him away from Christ. Ooh, someone responded, my brother is gay and has schizophrenia. When he's in psychosis, a common delusion for him is that he believes the devil has tricked him into being gay to make him sin and burn in hell. He is very easily influenced by right-wing and religious podcasters during these times. The fact that this came on rather suddenly is so far from his usual self and ramped up makes me think OP's husband might be suffering from a psychotic episode. Huh. I didn't even think of that part. Another person responded, to be honest, this was the first thing that I thought of. He's also still pretty young, so it's entirely possible. And I think someone did say, like, A lot of times people's first psychotic episodes happen in their late to early 30s. I think I read that somewhere. Someone said that. Hold on, let me Google it. Okay, so it says, while young adulthood is the most common time, psychosis can also present in late teens or early 30s, and even at older ages, especially in individuals with other neurological conditions. So maybe he is experiencing a psychotic break. And the rest of that comment said, after having personal experience with someone who has schizophrenia, I would definitely advise you to look into it, especially when the person is in very religious circles. It tends to manifest in this way, that they believe someone is the devil luring them into sin and so on. Or he might just be in a cult. But yeah, once you know someone who has it, you can't not think of that being a possibility, especially with a sudden change. So there is an update. There is an update. This was like maybe 5 days later. Thank you to everyone who gave me genuine advice on my last post. I'll quickly answer some common questions. No, he does not have a family history of bipolar disorder or any other mental health disorder that would cause sharp changes. No, he isn't cheating on me with one of his church friends, but I will get more into this later. No, he isn't bi. I'm bi, and we've had conversations, and he said he experimented in high school, but it wasn't for him. I talked to his family and our friends about the whole thing. I explained we were separating because of his newfound faith and how he's acting. I told them about the stuff he said, and they're all worried for me. I don't think that I'm in any sort of danger, honestly. I did talk to my church about this, and they told me that the church he's attending is notorious for this sort of thing. One of them will show up after a service and wait outside, and if someone is walking out alone, they'll come up to them and start chatting. They'll pretend they go here until they've talked to the person enough times to invite them to their church. Apparently, he was attending my church even on days where I wasn't, so he was alone a lot. It's really freaking predatory, and it low-key pisses me off that he was enjoying my church and it led him to being taken away from me. I've had limited contact with him in the past few days. He came over last night saying he needed to talk to me. He didn't appreciate me contacting his parents and assured me that he is fine mentally. I wanted to start asking all the questions I've come up with since he left, but I didn't want to overwhelm him. I know he didn't cheat on me because that was the first question I asked. More so, are you leaving me because there's somebody else? His response was that he didn't want to leave me, but living in sin wasn't what he wanted anymore. How did he figure this out, you ask? After grilling him for an explanation, he finally admitted that he tried to cheat. The guy who kept coming to my church and basically recruited him was apparently so attractive that he wouldn't listen to anything he said. So he tried to cheat, failed, and went the full 180 and has decided being gay is the ultimate sin. Not the fact that he tried to have an affair. This is actually going to drive me crazy. Dude is, how do you go from attempting to have an affair, failing, and so then deciding that you want to join a cult? Just that alone would have me like, you know what? You got it, bro. Like, I know at this point, OP is still kind of like, it seemed like he still wants to preserve the relationship. That would be the nail in the coffin for me. Like, you tried to cheat? What do you mean? Oh, he said, the guy who kept coming to the church was so attractive that he would listen to anything he said. That changes the whole context. I read that part wrong. Anyway, he said, finding out he wanted to cheat but didn't is almost worse because it's like, seriously? You tried and got rejected? That's embarrassing as heck for you and doubly embarrassing for me. I asked him if they knew he was married to a man, and he simply told them I was his gay roommate who turned him, and now that he's straight again, I've gone off the deep end. He's an actual freaking liar. Yeah, this is too much. He said he showed me some Bible verses, ones that were just blatantly different from the ones in mine, and kept trying to convince me that I need to change too. He said that he still cares about me and wants to be friends. I asked him, what about our actual friends? And he said they're too far gone. He just kept talking and I was done with it. He isn't the man I fell in love with, and it pisses me off. He wasn't even dressing the same anymore. freaking white dress shirt and slacks, and the most boring hairstyle ever. Think I can guess what religion that is. He said the more he talked at me, the more it was clear I didn't want to be with the man he is now. He left, and for the second time in our life, he walked out that door without saying I love you, and I was fine with that. This morning I talked with my lawyer, and I'm going through with a divorce. After I was done, I stopped by where he was staying and knocked on the door, half wanting whoever owned the place to be there when I gave him the papers, half because I didn't want him coming to my home anymore. When the man opened the door, I realized this is who he was talking about, and it took a bit to keep my anger in. I asked for my husband, and when he saw me, the look in his eyes made it clear that he wasn't expecting this out of me. I made it clear to the other guy that I was handing my husband, gay husband, divorce papers to end our marriage. The gay one between two men. Us. We're those two men. Because I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you wake up next to a man for 3 years out of your life, chances are you are a homosexual. So sorry to break it to you. I won't be able to go into details of the proceedings themselves, but I'm going to completely distance myself from him as best as I can. His actions have been horrible on my health, and his family and friends can handle him better than I can. I'm going to miss the man he used to be, but I have my people surrounding me. I'm going to be okay. I hope for his sake, he'll snap out of this one day because the self-hatred isn't healthy. But when he does, I will not freaking be there. Period. So the first comment on here says, OP, as the trope goes, no one is more zealous than a convert. You may have known people who quit smoking or drinking and suddenly became super judgy about others doing those things. So for him, it's this religion thing, and presumably some of the guilt that might come with it if he's not attending a more inclusive church, which is a thing that exists and probably should be where you're attending services. It's unfortunate that this is where he's at, but if he's going through with the divorce, it's in your best interest to get that over with and move on. It's not easy, but you can do this. The sooner you get your mind around the marriage being over, the faster you'll be on the road to recovery. So sorry this happened to you. Speaking of, have y'all seen that there's a show on like TLC, and it's like my husband is not gay, but he's same-sex attracted. Yeah, I think that's what they call it, SSA, same-sex attracted, but he's not gay. And they're like these religious people. The husbands are clearly gay, but since they're in this religion, they basically cannot live it out or whatever. And so them and all their other same-sex attracted friends hang out and they talk about like other guys that I'm laughing, but it's honestly quite sad because I hate to see it. Like, and then the women are like, yeah, people ask me if I'm insecure, but honestly, I'm not insecure because like out of all the men he could have chose, he chose me. Like, ma'am, no, he didn't. He's scared he gonna go to hell. Like, he don't like you for real. Like, it's sad. It's sad. I would never want a closeted gay man to choose me. Please don't choose me. Let me see if I can find a compilation or something because it's crazy. I don't think I can play it because it's on TLC and it has like a whole bunch of music in it. So I think it would get this video copyrighted, but I'm going to put the link. It's just, this story reminds me of that show, and it's just crazy that people have to live their lives like that. Like, I think that's pretty much it. He has a couple other updates on his page. They're not like directly related. They're kind of more like ranting. So if you want to go look, you can find them on his page. But we'll just go to the palate cleanser. It ended off with something lighthearted. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And this is a palate cleanser. It's just, it's from the Spread Smile subreddit. It says, when father and son are alone at home. Let me play it. That's so cute. Fun fact, when I was in, was it high school or middle school? I played the trombone for like 1 year. Can you imagine me? Can you imagine me playing this instrument? Probably. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.